am Artistic Gamer 7 and welcome back to another video here on the channel. This is going to be some more looking through screenshots. I've already, actually by the time I recorded this, posted the first one. It's just literally posted like yesterday or so, something like that. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. My days get very confusing anymore. I'm actually unemployed because not only is the whole pandemic a thing, but also my job closed, so technically it reopened because they got essential status, and then they closed my location where I worked at about a month or so after reopening. Well, technically it ended up being like 2 months, but they told us, it wasn't even a month actually, I don't think we've been even open a month, that our store was closing. And we had to try to sell stuff down, so yeah, anyway. So yeah, so I just constantly sit here and edit and record and like watch TV every once in a while, and then except for the days that I go and hang out with my boyfriend. We're both unemployed, but we live a little bit, we're not like super far away, but far enough away that it's not like an everyday thing that we see each other, sadly. But yeah, so other than that, that's what my life is now, just that's all. But anyway, why is it on this screen again? Why is it on this? Should have been on this. Anyway, I do have Sims up in the background, but anyway, we are going to go into my screenshots folder, which there's actually a lot more going on down in this section, but that's more recent stuff, and we're not going to go look at that just yet. I mean, eventually, yeah, we might, but, you know. Right now, they haven't been sorted into folders in the first place. But we're actually going to go to this folder right here, which I said I was going to go to. I'm actually going to real quickly make sure. Okay, it's good. Is it loading this folder? There we go. So yeah, make sure that they are actually in order by the time that I did them. Oh wait, I actually... Anyway, I don't know how long this video is going to be, because this is a decent-sized folder, but I don't think it's as long as the Eevee family folder. But, talking about the Eevee family and the Forgotten Family, the Forgotten Family's folder obviously wasn't as long as the Eevee family folder, but, you know, we did do those two folders, and there's a reason why I did those two first. One, I love those families. They are, like, my most cherished of all of my Sim families, pretty much, except for, like, there's a few that are up there with them. But they are, but as you, if you've watched either one or both, or at least seen, like, some of the end episodes, these two did start dating, and actually, when I made the Forgotten Family, when I made the Eevee family, I didn't have many plans of how their stories with significant others was going to go until, like, as I started playing. But eventually, once it got to a certain point, and that point around about the same time when I made the Forgotten Family, I was starting to decide things, or, like, deciding how I would do it. For example, I was pretty sure that Vaporeon was going to end up with Indra no matter what, but I did let the game see how things would go and sort of try to play out with a little story there. But then there's, like, Sylvia, in which I never really planned her to be with Mewtwo, and I'm sort of just letting the Sim game... I definitely knew, like, I wanted her to be with someone, and I wanted her to be someone who moved very slow in a relationship. But if they stay together, I'm still not sure. That's, like, the thing that I'm sort of playing by ear. So, like, I had at least a basis for most of the Eevee family. And even when it came to the Forgotten Family, I had some ideas, at least who I was hoping they would end up with, or who I was wanting them to end up with, or at least the type of person that I wanted them to end up with, or Sim in this case. But once I made the Forgotten Family all had, like, these little redemption stories in my head. Like, they all had issues because they did not have a very good childhood, so they had these issues that sort of developed in their head, and this, even though they all lived a very similar childhood, like even the cousins, Drayon, Angion, Sparion, Terrion, Mechion, all of them, they all lived in a very similar, like, childhood, like, they grew up very similar, but it sort of messed with them in different ways, basically. So they all had like a redemption story that I was going to try to play out. Some of them you have seen, or some of them you've started to see it. But Drayon's was the big fact that he didn't think that his family was always looked at very negatively because of his parents and his aunt and uncle and other generations before them. He just thought that everyone just automatically jumped to conclusions when it came to his brothers and sisters and his cousins, that they automatically were as bad as the previous generation. And a lot of people looked at the Eevee family as this good little wholesome family, so he sort of disliked the Eevee family, and he was constantly trying to prove that his family was not like everyone seemed, and that they were better than the Eevee family. So technically his redemption arc was to actually eventually get close to the Eevee family and see them for who they really are, and that not to just go ahead and hate them because of the reputation necessarily. And him and Eevee actually started dating, so that was his whole redemption arc. And it was a big thing, like, in my head, and I even, which I'm partially still debating on doing this, I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't do it exactly the same way that I did the Eevee and Forgotten episodes, where I went to both households or all households in a certain order, but I am thinking about doing what I was going to call the United series. I had this idea from the very beginning of making the Forgotten Family, that eventually the Eevee and Forgotten Family would combine, and it would be a big giant series, and I would just randomly follow some of the generations. So I don't know, I'm still almost wanting to do it, but there's another part of me that's like, I don't know if I'm ready to stack on a lot of LPs again, so I don't know. But I had this whole plan, and I actually did a whole entire screenshot thing a long time ago. And I did it too early, because a lot of the people aged up before the story got to the point that these two were engaged and going to be married, because the marriage was that was going to be the first episode of the United series, was their wedding. But I did a whole series of photo shoots with the two families that took absolutely forever. So this is what a lot of this is like, you don't even know exactly who she is because her story hasn't shown up, but I will let you at least know that this is Elena. This is Sparion's kid with Terra. His family technically doesn't know about her, but I was going to try to bring her in. She's now a kid, though, so she's not a toddler anymore. This is Jay, obviously, that's Drayon's son, who is obviously not a toddler anymore. Leia's not a toddler anymore, that's Leafeon's daughter, actually. Theo is still a toddler, but he's probably about to age up. He literally just became a toddler when I took these photos, or maybe I even potentially aged him up early to get him in photos, because I knew he was going to be a toddler. I can't remember for surely, but yeah, and this is River. River is no longer a toddler. I think all the toddlers in here, except for Theo, are no longer toddlers. But yeah, this is not the only scene I did. I did like 3 different scenes. Well, technically one of them was the same scene, but different poses. But yeah, the Forgotten Family's on this side, the Eevee family's on that side. I was like so excited, but like, this took forever to take these pictures, but I loved doing this, and I was excited about this whole idea, which is why there's still a part of me that's really thinking that I'm gonna do something for it, like have a United series, but do it in a different way than I originally planned on doing it, more like an update series. So like, it's still the United, but it's more of just updating you on the Eevee and Forgotten Families and where they're at. Maybe I'll do something like that. I don't know, but I will figure out something. But yeah, so I had done all this, and some of them I just took pictures because I really like taking pictures of my Sims, and honestly Estelle is beautiful, so anytime to take a picture of Estelle is just, you know, a reason to have to do it. But Estelle's now an adult, and she doesn't look exactly like this anymore. She's still beautiful. Still a very beautiful Sim. But yeah, she's no longer in Kaizen and Everett and Nolan. They're not kids anymore, they're teenagers, so, like, and actually, Glaceon now has a daughter, so she would have had to been in here. Flareon actually has a kid, and I didn't plan it. It happened in the background, and I didn't know it even happened until I randomly went to our apartment, and there was a baby. So, yeah, she has a kid now. Obviously, Jolteon does, too, if you've seen the ending of the Eevee family, that Athena had just gotten pregnant. They you'll see them here in a moment after a bit, but they have more kids now. They do not. I really almost really want them to have, like, one girl. I just want to see Miss Drevis's genes. Like, their genes combined, but Miss Drevis especially. I think she's really pretty. But imagine, like, her more stronger genetic side with, like, his tan, so they at least don't look so dead. Like, I really almost want to see a daughter from them, but at the same time, I didn't expect them to have triplets. So I'm like, I didn't expect Umbreon to have more than, like, 2 or 3 kids. Like, that was where I was thinking for him. But no, he already had Hal from a previous thing, and then they went and had triplets. So I've been debating on whether or not for them to have another kid or not, but right now they don't have any more. That's not a thing. And luckily, Ellie hasn't messed up. Ellie is a teenager. She's about to be a young adult, though. She is about to be. She had a teen pregnancy, and her dad did not take that over so well at first. Espeon does not have any kids. Sylveon does not have any kids. Leafeon does not have any more kids. So those things didn't change. Now, the Forgotten Family, I don't think any... No, Angeon got pregnant. I forgot Angeon got pregnant. Rice grew up. But Mechion doesn't have kids. Vinion doesn't. Pevion doesn't. Arachneon doesn't. Yeah, so everyone else I think's good. And, oh wait, no. He had another kid. Sparion had another kid after this, and that kid was part of his redemption arc that was starting to unfold. Julian. And Julian was after this. I think originally I was going to make Elena be the one for that arc, but then Elena was growing up too quickly for me to do so. So, there was Julian. Julian came in, and I was like, well, you know what? I can do that. This is Taylor. That's also his other child. He has 3. Sparion does. These 2 are not known technically, but this is, I think his name's Taylor. I'm pretty sure his name's Taylor. And Elena. Taylor is Cassie, not the one that was dating Mechion, but a different Cassie. This one's spelled with a K. And she's part of the Aurora family, which is why he's got the red hair. Auroras are really known to have red hair. Red or black. That is, like, a thing with the Auroras. Obviously, if they marry to someone else, sometimes their kids have the genes. My Sim is married to a Aurora, and only one of the kids has brown hair, never mind. 2 of them have red. And it's like the red. That's just like a trait I've decided is a strong trait of the Aurora family. So yeah. But yeah. Finneon's so funny. He's so strange. Can you tell he's actually burning to death in this photo? It's fine. The vampires were suffering in the making of this, but it's okay. Can I just say Terrayon is absolutely... She's so beautiful. She is so pretty. And this was one of the other scenes. So this is the main scene that I stuck with. I forgot to change his clothes, obviously. This is the main scene that I stuck with, but I changed their poses, and I changed them into formal wear. Or changed some of them's poses. I don't know if I changed all of them's poses. But I do put them into formal wear. Like, I took a few pictures here, and then I took them into formal wear. Obviously, I'd have Eevee and Drayon in the middle, and their kids are actually right beside them, because Estelle's from a previous relationship, and Jay is from a previous relationship on his side. So, and this is literally, okay, I decided to just go straight into the formal dresses. This is the formal wear that I did. And I love these 2 families so much. Look at the toddlers. Obviously, only one of them's a toddler still, but look at the adorableness going on here. And I didn't mean to put the 2 siblings on each side that wore light purple on the stairs. It just coincidentally happened, and after I did it, I was like, you know what, we're sticking with it. But yeah, so this is, I had to last minute change Ellie. And the really annoying thing is, like, Ellie didn't have a good formal wear look, and I had to do this last minute, and it moved everyone out of their poses, so I had to reset their poses all back up. That was frustrating, I remember that, even though this was a while ago. Arachneon's beautiful, too. I don't care if you don't like the gray, dead skin. She can't help that she's a vampire, and that the vampire that turned her made her skin go paler, because I'm sort of in the, like, mindset of sometimes your skin doesn't fully lighten, depending on the vampire who turns you. That being said, Umbreon's skin should have went a little bit lighter still with Miss Drevis, because she is pale. But yeah, they got turned by one of the oldest vampires out there, so... And their family's pretty light-skinned to begin with, unlike Umbreon. He was already a little bit on the tanner side. Their family's pretty light-skinned to begin with. So, I mean, look at even Mekion, which Mekion I say has a form of albinism. That's like the story with him, and even Fantion to a certain degree, in my Sims verse. But even so, they're all, look at Drayon. He's still pretty pale. So yeah, so they wasn't very dark skinned to like anywhere close to it to begin with. But yeah, look at the, I love them. I love them so much. Indra at this point already knew was going to be staying in the family, so that's why he got to be in these photos. But if I was to redo this, which part of me still just wants to redo it for fun, even though it was frustrating, but I really like these two families. But if I was to redo this, Athena would be in there, who else would be? Obviously Julian, some of the kids that are new, is there any other significant others that are missing? If Angion wouldn't have messed things up, she would have had Cindy with her, but Angion... Oh, Haunter! Fantion she's even moved in with Haunter, so that's a pretty significant thing. I think Sylveon's been with Mewtwo long enough, I could have potentially included him. But I think no one else is in, like, a big enough relationship that I would have added. And then these are just the main ones. These are the ones based off the evolutions, and the ones that I based off of what evolutions Eevee does not have. So if you don't know what the Forgotten Family is, Eevee, the Pokemon, could evolve into several different types. Water, electric, fire, dark, psychic, ice, grass, and fairy. And these guys are based off of the types that she, or he, because Eevees in Pokemon can be female or male. Mine's just a female because I wanted to. Are not a thing yet. I hope they eventually are, but yeah, so it's dragon, bug, steel, ghost, poison, fly, fighting, rock, and ground. So yeah, for all those that don't know the Pokemon world and also didn't know about the Forgotten Family completely, that is their whole... Why aren't we going over? Did I just take several... Yeah, I took several pictures because I love them. I love them so much. They're amazing. Just look at them. Look at them. They're amazing. They're all individually amazing. Oh, anyway, now we're actually to gameplay screenshots. This was their first kiss. So, and there's obviously I eventually just started putting both families into this folder. That's why I was confused why some newer ones were in the other folders. But yeah, both families just started being put in these folders. This is a graphical glitch on her plate. That's Leia. Leia's a kid already here. That's her mom, Ku, that Sylveon convinced to break up with Leafeon because Sylveon didn't like Ku's influence on her brother. But this is Leafeon coming over to play with Leia. He still, and this is coincide using the bathroom. I could not take a picture. This is Saya, Espeon's cat, and I could not take this picture. Like, come on. But yeah, this is obviously some sort of holiday going on here, or something. Because everyone's over, because there's Theo. Oh, it's these three! There's Crystal, that's Glaceon's kid, who was not obviously in there, with River when he was still a toddler. Leia and Chloe. Chloe is Riker's kid, which Riker is Espeon's really close friend and coworker, who went through a pretty nasty divorce, was living in a very, very small house. She had this big house that she had extra room for. So she invited him to stay until he can get himself back off his feet. So his daughter comes and visits and stays over a little bit as well, because there was enough rooms in her house for Chloe to even have a room. So she comes and visits, so obviously she was here at the time. I also see Saya's kittens roaming around in the background. That is Glaceon, Leafeon, and Sylveon's mom. Because I had to technically split the families to do the households, and I made them cousins, so yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's their mom, obviously, so this is a grandmother and granddaughter moment going on here. This was a girl's day out that Espeon did with two of her sisters and Chloe. She was trying to make Chloe feel a little bit more included, because, I mean, she didn't know how long Riker would be having to live there, and this kid's having to go through her parents divorcing, and it was, like I said, it wasn't a pretty divorce. So, Espeon decided to treat her to some ice cream and brought her two sisters along with her. Vaporeon was too busy at her lifetime to do that. There's Haunter. So this is Fanteon's boyfriend. Are they engaged now? Or are they still only dating? They're living together. This is the house they bought. They actually bought an abandoned haunted house. I didn't expect to actually find a real ghost in it necessarily, but this is the ghost of Fanteon and them's dad. So he died. I didn't know he died until this day. I didn't know he had died, and he came and visited Fanteon as a ghost. This is Rice deciding to be a bear. So, this is an odd moment of the son that Fanteon adopted. You'll have to watch the series to get the whole story on that one. But, yeah, her adopted son, her boyfriend, she's actually older than him, which, is not always a norm. Totally perfectly fine, just not always a norm. And then her dead dad, who was an abusive, horrible person, coming to visit her at her new creepy house. So that was, interesting. This is Kaizen and Pheromosa, which is based off of a Pokemon. She's from my Pokemon to Cast Series 1. I aged her down into a kid because I could not bring her over into my main game. Oh, this was a screenshot I made. This is, some of my thumbnail screenshots are in here. So this is when Espeon was dating Marth. Marth didn't like that Riker was living in Espeon's house, even though there's nothing going on, but he didn't like it. They broke up because of it. And this was the thumbnail for that episode where he came. I actually made him angry so that he looked red because I thought it was more fitting for the thumbnail eventually. But yeah, so there's that. And this is another thumbnail. This is the thumbnail where Angeon kissed Knight. So, we got the Fame trio coming over here now. And Cindy had a key, and she just happened to come there at the same time. Because Angeon's got problems. She really wants attention in that way. Like, she wants people to constantly be loving on her. But Cindy was so focused on her career at the moment, so sometimes Angeon's weakness caved, and she went in, and Knight is the type that literally flirted with quite a few people, so that happened. And this is an adorable date between Hal, Umbreon's oldest son, and Marina. They're adorable couple. Look at them. They're so adorable. They're so cute. That's just snow. Why do I have this in this folder? And there is River's birthday, so River aging up. Oh, the fams enjoying time, hanging out together. At this point, was she starting to invite Drayon to family events? I don't see him, but that's not to say he's not here. He could easily be somewhere else. Also, the awkward moment when Riker... This is Riker, actually. And his ex-wife is the caterer. That awkward moment! Because he comes to some of the family events, because, he's living with her, so she's just like, hey, you can come, she's trying to be nice and friendly. And this is where the kids got to meet each other. Jay got to meet Eevee, and Estelle got to meet, Drea. Also, I've decided that there's just a theme in the Eevee family that the oldest daughter gets named with an E, and that just passes on. I accidentally did it with the 3 generations. Her mom's name starts with an E, she starts with an E, and Estelle starts with an E. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, but now it's a thing. So when Estelle has a kid, that kid, if it's a girl, it's going to be named with an E. So that's just a thing that's now going to happen. Emmerich. So, this was part of Arachneon, and technically Vinion's arc at the same time. Arachneon and Vinion were close. Vinion's her little brother. He followed her almost everywhere, and she kept getting into, trouble, basically, going to places she shouldn't have been, and that caused her to get bit by Emmerich. Emmerich is Vlad's son in my story. Vlad has 2 sons. One is definitely more of a good vampire, while one is definitely more of an evil vampire. Emmerich is the evil one. He goes around and tortures people and turns them into vampires and leaves them stranded without telling them anything. Nothing whatsoever. They have to figure it out on their own. He even sometimes will, torture them. He's a bad person. He's just a horrible, horrible, horrible person. And all this time, she wanted this revenge because she felt bad for getting her little brother turned as well. Vinion's accepted the fact that he's a vampire. He's pretty happy with it. But this was a whole thing where they were trying to get back at Emmerich. Trying so hard. And it did eventually succeed. Megion's face in this is like, So, funny story. If you watch the Forgotten series, I talked about how Arachneon and Finneon took turns. Arachneon was the main one to actually do it, but I did get sun resistance for him, but not so much for Arachneon, so here's a little behind the scene moment about to happen. She died. Technically. But I worked so hard to get Ambrosia and made Ambrosia to bring her back. So she was brought back without cheats, technically. But yeah, so I did did get her to be brought back before I technically aired the episode. And it was just like they took turns. Vinneon was there when he died. But yeah, so I did have to technically bring her back. So she technically did die. But we just pretend that didn't actually happen, okay? That just didn't happen. That's not canon. It's just not a thing. But technically it did happen. Ah, she looks so sad. Where is this at? Oh wait, this is another Sim's house. These two just happen to be, I think it's one of their new neighbors or whatever. The Sim I was playing was named Fallon, but they came over, so that's Fallon actually. I'm playing her right there, but I thought this was adorable because I wasn't controlling these two. This is Eevee and Jay, obviously, Jay's Drayon's son. She hugged him out, or I don't remember who initiated the hug, necessarily. But they hugged each other out in public without, like, Drayon wasn't there. It was just Eevee, and Jay was out. I was playing Fallon, so I had no control over them. And they just hugged, and they were, like, hanging out and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so adorable. This is just amazing. I love this. Fallon's just sitting on the bench the whole time. Oh, and this is me taking thumbnails pictures for one of the Eevee episodes. I remember... this is not a thumbnail, but, you know, it would have been okay as a thumbnail. Pepeon was just making a really funny face. How could I not? That's Julian. You can't really see him very well there. Oh, this was another thumbnail that I was trying to do. Flareon, Jolteon, and Vaporeon's birthday. Yes. Yes, this was a thing that was going on. But, you know, people seem to be enjoying it quite a bit. I will say this was a funny moment. Randomly, I came downstairs, and these two were in the sauna, and she was there, too. This is Riley, Misdreavus' coworker and friend, but Misdreavus' face looked so annoyed at Riley. I have no idea what Riley walked in on, but it was quite funny, and in my head there was a lot of stories that were playing out that I was like, I'm pretty sure Riley walked in on some awkward moment or something. Leia making a mess, these two hanging out. By then, I definitely know he was coming to the events. Oh, wait. This is a flashback to the picture of when they were eating together as toddlers, but now he's a kid. He's not technically eating, but still! Okay, this is more adorable now that I see it, now that I'm seeing all the screenshots together. Yeah, enjoy, lovely birthday. Oh, this was a thumbnail. This was not... Was this taken after that episode? I don't know. But this was the thumbnail for them going after Emmerich, technically. And I think this was an accidental thumbnail, but whatever. Okay, this is when Mechion's heart was absolutely broken. This all happened, like, without me doing it. Like, his brothers and sisters just actually kept coming up to talk to him. They giving him hugs, trying to cheer him up. I love this family because, you know, they may have their issues, they have some problems, but they obviously really, really are close and care for each other, even in the game level, because they were doing this on their own. I was just sort of watching them, because I came to see how Mechion's relationship with his ex-girlfriend was, so after the whole big fiasco happened, when I was not controlling him or his girlfriend or the guy that she started kissing and flirting all over in front of him. So yeah, but his family were there. They were there for him and consoling him, and they just kept doing this stuff without me doing it. I was like, oh my baby. Y'all are so wonderful. Oh, and the pregnancy. The pregnancy that I didn't plan for. I should be getting close to the end here now. Also, if I do continue doing the United series, there is one of these photos of the Eevee and Eeveeolutions in each one of their houses as they start moving out. So if you ever see them, I would find it funny if people started commenting that they seen the picture. But yeah, they're like hidden sort of in the house to see if anyone ever would notice. Just FYI. So Eevee, Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon, Espeon, I'll have them somewhere in their houses, because those are the only ones that have moved out so far, I think, into their own homes. Oh, and Umbreon. Umbreon's is somewhere too. I forgot to mention Umbreon. It's just Leafeon, Glaceon, and Sylveon that are not, like, on their own. Though Sylveon did move out, technically. So, yeah, anyway. And then there's the proposal. Okay, yeah, this is definitely... I don't know. Oh, wait, this is not getting it to the end. I have a whole wedding to go through anyway. So yeah. This is just funny. He's got a freaking pimple on his nose and he's making that face, like... Finneon's hilarious. Oh. I feel like I've been recording a while, so I might actually split this up into, halfsies. So, you know, we'll continue going through the United folder in the next episode of looking through my screenshots. But I definitely want to go through the next ones, because there is a wedding. It's not Eevee and Drayon's wedding. Like, I'm going to actually... that is the one that I'm 100% recording. Whether I continue on with the United family or not, I'm at least doing that as an episode. So, it's not their wedding, but it is a different wedding that I actually went and did, like, a lot of, like, photo stuff for, so I'm excited to sort of show that off. So I might end up rambling a while for that anyway, so I am going to split this up into two. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If so, hit that lovely like button and subscribe to see future episodes of screenshots or whatever it may be here on the channel. Make sure you also hit that little notification bell so that you're notified when a video goes live, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye! Just have Vinnyon's lovely pimple nose face here to see off.